Juliet's speech. Impressions. Moving into a new phase in your life is never easy. It means saying goodbye to familiar faces, well-known places, and stepping into a strange and unknown world. Saying goodbye is usually accompanied by feelings of sadness. Yet on the other hand, there is also excitement to make that new world familiar. First impressions can last a lifetime, but when they're based on prejudice and fear, they may have to be changed, as we experienced at least twice during our IB years. The first impressions that we had of our DP1 coordinator, Miss Halsey, and our DP2 coordinator, Mr. Rutherford, were both subject to change, and hopefully we have learned not to be too hasty with our judgment. In Miss Halsey's case, her opening speech made a lasting impression on most of us, and the story that I will share with you tonight is loosely based on that experience, and I'm sure that some of my classmates will recognize at least part of it. I would now like to introduce you to the new diploma coordinator, Miss Halvord, he said, stepping aside. And in his wake stood a woman. She was tall and had shoulder-length brown hair with blonde highlights. She wore black square glasses, and despite the warm weather, she was wearing a thick green sweater, which Kendra thought made her look like a green skittle, and jeans tucked into her boots. Cowboy boots they were. Without giving herself an introduction, she started talking about the 8x5 room they were in. You are very fortunate to have this room. Whether you call it the lounge, the study center, or the commons, you should be very thankful that you have a place to hang out, where no little kids can annoy you. In the previous school where I taught, students had nothing of the sort. There used to be a lounge there, but the school decided to do away with it after it was abused. Miss Halvord continued to talk, and Kendra thought she had a rather monotonous voice. But she was very articulate and used fancy diction, and when she spoke, one was drawn more to her hand movement than to her face. Unconsciously, Kendra zoned out and peered around the room, examining each occupant's face carefully. She noticed some very handsome boys and kept looking around, but what amazed her most was seeing such diverse people sitting together. There was a nerdy-looking boy sitting next to a preppy Chinese girl, wearing a short skirt and a Ralph Lauren polo. And on her side sat a girl dressed fully in black, and next to her was an African-American boy sporting what seemed to be a BSV outfit. Kendra didn't know if she was imagining it, but it looked like there was no separation of social groups at this school. At her old school in the States, there had been very distinct social groups, and they did not mix or mingle. But it seemed to be different here. At that moment, Kendra was brought back to reality by a shift in Miss Halvord's voice. However, if you break something, like a window, or if you do not clean up, and this place turns out to be a pigsty, then there will be serious consequences. I hope you understand that this room is a privilege, and it's not a right that you have, so make sure you treat it with respect. Well, now that I've gotten that out of the way, I would like to properly introduce myself. I'm Miss Jane Halvord. I was born in Canada, but went to college in the States, in Missouri to be specific, where I studied English, literature, and more. Well, this will be my 20th year teaching. I would just like you to know that it's my choice to work with 15 to 19-year-olds. Many teachers don't like this age group. They prefer younger children, but I prefer you by far. If truth be told, I like little kids just as much as I like spiders. And when I see a spider, I just want to get rid of it as fast as I can. Well, about me, let's see. I'm very, very straightforward and have a twisted sense of humor, she said, rubbing her hands together. Some people like that about me, some don't. Frankly, I don't care if you do. I might make a comment that you think is inappropriate or that offends you. Well, just tell me and I'll try to make it right, because I don't lay awake about that sort of crap. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong idea or anything. I'm not mean. I just won't be your best friend. Then her voice changed from staccato-like to sounding suddenly sincere. But I will, and mark my words on this. Celebrate every achievement that you make. Furthermore, she continued, her posture suddenly changed, as did her tone of voice and attitude. I think that I'm so much better and cooler than all of you in this room. I'm older, wiser, and smarter. Plus, I have so much more experience than anybody here in this field or any other field for that matter. So don't even think about talking to me or giving me advice. And, well, that's me in a nutshell, she finished exuberantly. Students who had not been giving her their fullest attention were suddenly wide awake and staring at her with open mouths. People in the room were eyeing each other with peculiar expressions. Is this a joke or something? Questions like that sounded around the room for about a second or two. Then there was silence. But it was a moment that was forever embedded in the memory of the 39 students sitting in that room. Then Miss Halvard cleared her throat, and in a bemused sort of voice she slowly said, "Now, that is how I do not want you to behave this coming year." And here she paused and looked around the room, eyeing each occupant fiercely. "I just demonstrated inappropriate behavior for a diploma candidate, and I will not tolerate this kind of attitude. DP students need to be open to new ideas. They need to be accepting and understanding. Furthermore, everyone, and I mean everyone, deserves to be treated with respect. Everyone deserves a fair chance, a fresh start. So let's not try to judge each other based on appearance or by first impressions. Often our emotions overshadow our reasoning, and that leads to false analysis and conclusions, which again, in turn, lead to fallacies. But, well, that's a topic that we're going to discuss in our first TOK lesson come Monday. For now, I would just like to add that I'm not here because I know everything. I don't. And I don't expect you to. I don't expect you to be perfect, and I certainly don't hope that you expect me to be. Hopefully this year can be a learning experience for all of us, and may we have grown a little wiser by the end of it. Kendra saw something in her that she liked, though she didn't know exactly what. As the school year progressed, Kendra and her fellow classmates discovered that Miss Halvard was different from anyone they had ever met. And that's how they learned that being different can be a good thing. Being different is okay. Standing out of the crowd is okay. Being yourself is okay.